Maybe I should speak something, or I should speak
Maharaj,
something.
do you want Braj Kishore Prabhu to finish and then you can speak, or you want to?
Better finish, because he's reading good. Yeah. Mm.
Ji
You should
Maharaj,
carry
Braj
on,
Kishore
and
Prabhu.
then carry on.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, Maharaj, I think everybody wants to hear from you, but
Yeah, no, carry on.
Okay. I think the article is
Finish
about.
it, Raj. Finish it, Raj. Sweet
Okay.
nectar there.
So, Srila Prabhupada spoke on the topic of Mayavad, or the delusional doctrine of monism. It is a notion lethal to devotion and kills the soul. Sriman Mahaprabhu did not accept this philosophy in any way, but rather deemed it antagonistic to bhakti. Hence, it is entirely unsanctioned by him. Brahmachariji firmly assimilated these teachings in his heart, where they became deeply rooted. Accordingly, he collected some 10 to 12 commentaries on the philosophic treatise of Vedanta by various authors, and having studied these works, gave speeches at Katak's Ramanshaw College and other learned communities on the irrationality and inauthenticity of Sankaracharya's doctrine. Later, the essential points of his speeches were published in the Gaudiya Math's daily newspaper at the time, Dainika Nadia Prakash. He expounded the concepts of Brahma Sutras primarily on the basis of Sriman Mahaprabhu's teachings concerning the worship of the holy name. He wrote, "The word Brahma actually refers to Sabda Brahm, or divine sound vibration. This Sabda Brahm is what Sriman Mahaprabhu preached as Sri Nam Brahma, divinity incarnated as the holy name. The notion that Brahma is a formless, indistinguishable, featureless oblivion is not mentioned anywhere in the approximately 550 axioms of Brahma Sutra. If Brahma is devoid of qualities, then surely Brahma is not of a compassionate nature. Sri Vedavyas did not mention the words Nirakar, formless, Nirvishesh, indistinct, or Nirgun, featureless, anywhere in the Vedanta Sutra. Classifying the various Buddhas. Once Swamiji was giving a week-long lecture series of Srimad Bhagavatam in the village of Sri Brahmapur near Chunchura at the Sanskrit school of the respected attorney Srivat Panibhushana Chakravarti Shastri. During that time, he discovered that his host had a huge library which he received the opportunity to peruse. Among the many books, a volume of Buddhist origin titled Lankavatara Sutra drew his attention, and he borrowed it from the lawyer to study. At one place in the book, it is written, Ravana used to take a plane to the top of the tallest mountain to visit Buddha, who had come there, and discuss Advaitadvad, the doctrine of monism. Swamiji quotes this Lankavatara Sutra as scriptural evidence on page 20 of his Mayavadari Ki Jivan. Thus, he collected historical evidence of Advaitavadis dating all the way back to Treta Yuga. Once in 1946, while Swamiji was observing Urjavrat in Kasi, he made a trip to Buddha Gaya, where he discovered that the temples were under the care of a distinguished Sankaracharya Mahant of the Advaitavadi lineage, in accordance with traditions dating back to ancient times. That Mahant was essentially the proprietor of Buddha Gaya. Out of curiosity, Swamiji asked the Mahanta, how is a renowned Acharya of the Sankara lineage the head of the Buddhist Math? Is Sankara's lineage a sect of Buddhism? The Mahant, being somewhat displeased, gave him a book called Lalita Vistar to consult. Evidence from the 21st chapter, page 178 of this book, is cited on page 19 of Mayavadi Ki Jivan. The Sakya Buddha decided that Buddha Gaya, the birthplace of the previous ancient Buddha, was the appropriate place for him to attain perfection, and so he sat beneath a fig tree and performed his austerity. Swamiji has written, the ancient name of this Buddha Gaya is Kikata. Buddha Deva's deity is still worshipped at this place by the Giri Sannyasi leadership of the Sankara lineage. They accept that Buddha Gaya is the birthplace of the ancient original Buddha, the Vishnu Buddha. It is where the Sakyasima Buddha performed spiritual practice to attain liberation. This clearly proves that the ancient Avadhar Buddha and the more recent Gautama Buddha are not the same. In the Amara Kosh dictionary, Lord Buddha's other name is given as Samantabhadra. Samantabhadra is listed among the Bodhisattvas, while Gautamam is one of the mortal Buddhas. He became renowned by the name Buddha after attaining enlightenment. Thus, we know there are three classifications of Buddhas: the mortal Buddhas, the Bodhisattva, and the Bodhisattva Buddhas, and the original Buddha. His disdain for Mayavad. Swamiji especially cautioned practitioners pursuing the path of devotion to entirely reject the animosity to bhakti, that is, Mayavad, and to avoid the company of Mayavadis, which is lethal to devotion. To this end, he quotes various statements by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, headed by Mayavadi Basya Sunile Haya Sarvanas. If you listen to the doctrine of Mayavadis, you will meet with utter ruin. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 6.169. He also cites Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Visaya Vimuda Ara Mayavadi Jan, Bhakti Sunya Dune Prana Tara Akaran. The materialist engrossed in pleasures and the impersonalist Mayavad are both bereft of bhakti and therefore lead meaningless lives. Said Uyara Madhya Visai Tubabalo, Mayavadi Sangha Nahi Magi Kona Kala. Of the two, the materialist is still better. I never want the company of a Mayavadi. Mayavada Dosa Jara Hidde Pasila, Kutara Hidrayatara Brajasama Bela. Once the blight of Mayavad enters a person's heart, various corrupting contentions render it as harsh as a thunderbolt. Bhakti re swarupa ara vishaya ashraya, Mayavada antiya boli sabakaya. The Mayavadi deems the nature of devotion, along with its objects and subjects, to be temporary. Dik Tara Krishna Seva Shravana Kirtan, Krishna Anga Vrajahana Tara Stavan. Fie on the service of Krishna, the so-called hearing and chanting. Their praise of Krishna amounts to hurling bolts of lightning at him. Mayavada Sama Bhakti Pratikulanai, Ataiva Mayavadi Sangha Nai Chai. There is nothing more unfavorable to devotion than Mayavad. Therefore, I do not want the company of Mayavadis. In this way, Swamiji's efforts to refute this doctrine of Mayavad are thereby elicit the heartly pleasure of Bhakti Devi, the goddess of fortune, devotion, is a primary facet of his Bhagavata Jivan, his transcendental life dedicated to the Lord. A miraculous occurrence. For several unavoidable reasons, Brahmachariji left Sri Chaitanya Math in great sadness in June of 1940. In 1941, he accepted sannyas and rented a house on 33-2 Bospada Lane in Bagh Bazar neighborhood, where he founded Sri Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti on the day of Akshaya Tritiya. During this period, an extraordinary incident occurred. It must have been 1941 or 42, on the day of Ekadasi, when Swamiji was sitting in his room, the location of his Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti, and his godbrother Sripad Narayan Das Mukhapadaya, Seva Suhut Prabhu, made the trip from his home at 14 Pradesh Lane to visit him. He arrived in the morning, and the two passed a significant amount of time talking. Seeing his guests preparing to return home, Maharaj was keen to offer him something to eat, but at the time he did not have even a single paisa at hand. He could not even offer batas, small hollow sugar puffs with water. Was he to simply bid his godbrother goodbye like this? Maharaj, a son of nobility, began to weep at heart. At that very moment, a sparrow, sent by the Lord, presumably, it perched itself on the wall of the house and dropped a small packet down the ventilator shaft. The packet fell into the room and landed on the floor with a sound. When Sri Keshav Maharaj opened it, he saw there were 6 annas inside, about 35 paisa. Surely the gods have sent this, he thought. Summoning a brahmachari sevak, he asked him to purchase some sandesh, sweet curd, with that money. Thus, he was able to lovingly offer his godbrother, Seva Sahut Prabhu, suitable prasad. After that, there was not 1 paisa left in his treasury, by which he might have something to offer, something for himself to eat. But just then, there was a knock at the main gate. A courier had arrived. It was incredible. Blessed is the Lord, who is so affectionate to his devotees, and blessed is his transcendentally causeless mercy, which makes the impossible possible. His affection for his devotees is unprecedented. The supremely worshipful Tridandi Swami, Sri Srimad Bhakti Sarvasa Giri Maharaj, a godbrother of Maharaji, who has since attained the eternal abode, had sent a money order in his name for 100 rupees. Everyone who witnessed this incident was stunned and began to praise Shishi Guru Garanga again and again. Although he was in the grips of extreme poverty, Swamiji savored this mercy of Sri Bhagavan and felt encouraged to always be dauntless in his readiness to render service. Maharshi, should I not stop here? Okay, winning the respect of all. From the beginning, when Sri Vinod Bihari first came to the lotus feet of his most worshipful Sri Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada entrusted him with the weighty responsibilities of maintaining the Math's properties in Sridham Mayapur and further expanding the glories of serving the most transcendental Dham. The guardian of Akara Math Raj, Sri Chaitanya Math in Sridham Mayapur, Shripad Narahari Brahmachari Seva Vigraha, was his inseparable comrade and counterpart. Sri Vinod Bihari Brahmachari accomplished many services for the sake of Sridham Mayapur with his companion's consultation, thereby bringing great joy to Paramaradhya Srila Prabhupada. In those days, in Sridham Mayapur, the residents of Sriman Mahaprabhu's Dham respectfully addressed Sri Vinod Bihari Brahmachari as Manager Babu. Hindus and Muslims alike all regarded him as a truly beneficent friend and well-wisher. At a word from him, everyone would heed his reconciliations, which were geared towards keeping rogues in check and nurturing the gentlefolk. He never indulged in any manner of wrongdoing. Because of his sound judgment and management, the poor rarely had to waste money on court visits and fees. Even the local Muslims lent their wholehearted assistance to the Math. All of the local high-ranking officials, from the district magistrate of Nadia to the officers, attorneys, landowners, and oligarchs, as well as the teachers, professors, and administrators of the schools and colleges, regarded Vinod Babu with ubiquitous respect and an esteemed citizen and a munificent gentleman whose life was dedicated to Dharma. Indeed, they found themselves won over by his virtues. Every year, he evoked profuse joy in Srila Prabhupada by his otherworldly service during Sridham Navadvip Parikram, the festival of Sri Gaura's appearance at Sri Yogapith, the auspicious convening of Sri Navadvip Dham Pracharini Sabha, as well as when the exhibition on spiritual life was unveiled in 1929. Aside from this, as a brahmachari, he further evoked the happiness of his Sri Guru Pad Padma by his tireless toil in establishing the printing press in Sridham, in overseeing the printing of the daily spiritual newspaper, Dainika Nadia Prakash, and countless scriptural texts, in constructing Sridham's roads and riverbanks, in supervising the land leases, and in other various tasks of service. All of the resident sevaks of the Math were won over by his considerate, caring interactions. In the endearing saturation of his and Shripad Narahari Das's affectionate care, even the young pledges who had taken refuge in the Math were able to forego the loving arms of their mothers and fathers, all the while maintaining a healthy fear of his affectionate chastisement. Disciples of the most worshipful Srila Prabhupada were eager to approach the two God brothers, literally dancing in delight at the prospect. In those days, Sridham Mayapur was the life of devotees' lives, and Vinod Da and Narahari Da were everyone's bosom friends, the dearest of their lives. Even Paramadhyatma Srila Prabhupada was always eager to come to Sridham Mayapur from the Sri Gaudiya Math in Kolkata. Upon reaching there, his heart would feel soothed and at peace. But alas, there he no divasa gata. Those days have gone. Sridham Mayapur was the very life of Sripad Keshav Maharaj. Upon being deprived of living in Sridham Mayapur like a fish out of water, Swamiji felt as if life itself was an affliction. After the disappearance of our most worshipful Srila Prabhupada, Srila Keshav Maharaj consulted his inseparable confidant, Sripad Narahari Da, and moved to Tegari Pada, Navadvip, where they established the principal seat of Sri Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti. He named the Math Sri Devananda Gaudiya Math, on 6 bagas, 4 and 1/3 acres, constructed a huge towering temple, a large Natya mandir, event hall, ample accommodation for the sevaks, and many other facilities. To honor the Puranic significance of Koladweep, the fifth of Navadweep's 9 islands, Swamiji installed the deity of Sri Bhagavan Vahara Avatar on a separate throne next to that of Shishi Guru Garanga Gandharvika Giridhariju. In a grand ceremony was a qualified Acharya priest present to conduct the necessary rituals. Now, as of 6th October 1968, Swamiji's transcendental form has been entered into Samadhi to the west of the massive Natya Mandir, assembled hall in front of that temple. The devotees hope to soon build a large Samadhi shrine there. Observing Ratha Yatra. Every year for some 25 years, Pujapad Maharaj held the Ratha Yatra festival of Shri Jagannath Dev from Chuncheraj Sri Udaran Gaudiya Math. Last year, in a grand event, Shri Jagannath Dev's Ratha Yatra was held at Shri Devananda Gaudiya Math in Shri Koladweep also. Propagating Sudha Bhakti. By establishing preaching centers under Shri Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti in various places throughout India, Pujapad Keshav Maharaj propagated the message and verdicts of Sudha Bhakti, or pure devotion, and planted its seeds in the hearts of many fortunate souls. By the impact of hearing his compelling sermons, many men and women attained the fortune of pursuing the path of pure devotion, as revealed by a most worshipful Prabhupada. Bathing and vitalizing them in the sacred current of Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur's teachings, Swamiji made their mortal lives successful and blessed beyond belief. The steadiness of his conviction. Once Sri Keshav Maharaj understood something to be true, his conviction in it was such that even fear itself was afraid to dissuade him. Nourishing his disciples with affection, Sri Keshav Maharaj expressed a disposition of being harder than a thunderbolt, yet softer than a flower. Vajrarapi Katurani Mradi Kusumad Api. His affection for his disciples was exemplary. If ever his disciples faced serious illness or injury, his soft flower-like heart would melt entirely. He would be ready to trade all he had to bring them back to health. Although he had to combat extreme poverty in the beginning, by the Lord's will, he eventually established temples in various places, most notably the large Math Mandir in Sridham Navadvip, with the help of a few wealthy devotees. A few of his accomplishments. During his pastimes as an acharya, he held huge parikrams in Sri Gaudamandal, Sri Rajmandal, and Sri Kshetra Mandal. Besides these engagements, he organized pilgrimages to almost all of the renowned holy places in Aryabhata, North India, and in South India. He also held a large pilgrimage of Sri Shivadam, Sri Baidyanath Dham, and stayed there for 1 month, observing Niyam Sabha, Kartik Vrat, and executing the schedules of appropriate vows and daily kirtans. His enthusiasm in the field of education was exemplary. In the Math in Sridham Mayapur, he established a day school for Sanskrit, a residence for students, a printing press for books and magazines, a bookstore, and a warehouse. He personally oversaw these services, thus encouraging everyone in the service of Sri Math Mandir. Inexpressible separation. Today, having lost such an exemplary acharya who was eager to serve and was endowed with all good qualities, the pain we feel in our hearts cannot be expressed in words. Separation from a godmother so completely dedicated to the service of Sri Sri Guru Garanga and Sri Gauradam fills our hearts with extreme agony. May Shripad Keshav Maharaj be pleased with us. That is our pitiful prayer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Raj, for that beautiful read. Hare Krishna Maharaj, pranams. Hare Krishna Maharaj, I think you're still on mute. Yeah, Maharaj, you're still on mute.
वेङ्कटसुन्दरद्युतिः कदम्बसन्दीपितः सदा हृदये कन्दरे स्फुरतु शशिरञ्जनः संसारदुःखजलधौ परितस्य कामः क्रोधान्नकर्मकरैर्वलीकृतस्य दुर्वासना निगडितस्य निराश्रयस्य चैतन्यचन्द्रमम देहि परावलम्बम् चैतन्यचन्द्रममृत्कुमुदं विकास्य रुद्धं विदेहि च चिन्तनभृङ्गरङ्गे किञ्चापराधनिबिडं निबिडं विदूय पादामृतं सदय दुर्गतं माम्. So first of all, offer my millions of obeisances to lotus feet of Asmadi Gurupad Padma Nitala Prishth Guru Shishya Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and offer obeisances to Nitala Prishth Guru Acharya Keshari Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, to lotus feet of Trivingi Sannyasi Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Dandi Maharaj Ji, Namnishta Santa Shri Aniruddhas Prabhu Ji, and also the lotus feet of all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas who are gathered here to accept my humble obeisances. So today is very auspicious day. Sorry, I fell asleep because morning we had kirtan, then another program, then another class, then now another class. This is the second class. So maybe another one more class in the evening. So sorry, I fell asleep. At Prasadam. Today we distributed like 500 plates of Prasadam for the devotees in Tirupati. This is a holy dham. So Maharaj had told Dandi Maharaj that please distribute some Prasadam, whatever you can afford. So simple Prasadam we distributed. Prasadam is the mercy of the Lord. So Param Gurudev, Maharaj told me yesterday that there would be no preaching in the West if Param Gurudev would not come, because he is the one who inspired Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj to take sannyas, gave him sannyas, and sent him to the West, and also blessed him, and he gave him upon the Gopi Bhav mantra, which is no less than Gopal mantra, Kam Gayatri. It is more powerful than Gopal mantra and Kam Gayatri combined together. The sannyas is a very big empowerment, and that's why he was able to preach so strongly in the West. So many times devotees don't acknowledge that. They think that sannyas is just an ordinary affair, but that is not the thing. Sannyas is real empowerment. So Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj is called Acharya Keshari. Srila Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Sarang Goswami Maharaj had given him the title. He had given him the title Pashanda Gajeka Simha. Pashanda means atheism. So atheism is compared to a big elephant, and he's like a lion. You see, lion is very brave. All the elephant is very big in the size, 2 times, 3 times, 5 times bigger than the lion. But lion is so strong that he will kill the even elephant. So atheism, the atheistic sampradayas, they were very big, but Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj was fearless. Generally speaking, we are not speaking the truth, and we hesitate to speak the truth. I think we agitate someone. But Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj was never afraid to speak the truth. Like Srila Gurudev told that once there was the inauguration of a new mutt of Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhav Goswami Maharaj. This mutt, you might have seen, it is on Mathura Road, and it is not far from the Ramakrishna Mission Hospital. So anyway, Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhav Goswami Maharaj, who is the Guru Maharaj of Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Gyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj. So Bhaktivedanta Madhav Goswami Maharaj, the junior godbrother of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, have invited Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj also. They speak something about our Harikatha, because new Mati inauguration is there. And he had also invited the sannyasis, big shot sannyasis from Ramakrishna Mission. As soon as Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj saw the sannyasis of Ramakrishna Mission, he became very angry. He said, this Vivekananda was a political gunda, he was a religious gunda, he said. Gunda means a rowdy person. And he said, this Vivekananda used to say that better to play football, soccer, than reading Bhagavad Gita. If you play football, you will become strong. What will happen if you read Gita? No use of studying Gita. And one time this Ramakrishna Mission gave affidavit in the court recently, Gurudev was telling, that we are not at all Hindus. We are not Indian culture also. We don't belong to Sanatana Dharma or Vedic culture. We have Western culture. We follow. That is the affidavit they submitted in the court, and they wanted the minority status. Like in India, there are some religions like Christianity, Islam, Sikhism, Jainism, Buddhism, they get minority status because Hindus are the majority in India. Only countries where the Hindus are majority is India and Nepal. So they get minority status, they have their own educational institutions, they have their own reservations in the jobs, and some special facilities come when you get a minority status. So the Ramakrishna Mission recently applied for minority status. So the sannyasis there eat meat. They say chicken is also Brahma, I am also Brahma, Brahma is eating Brahma. So what is the difference? Sarvam Khalidam Brahma. Not only that, they even eat beef. They kill the cows and eat their flesh. Sannyasis of Ramakrishna Mission. So Param Gurudev became very angry and he blasted them like anything. Um, and that time the sannyasis of Ramakrishna Mission complained to Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhav Goswami Maharaj, what is this? You invited us for the function and your sannyasi is blasting us like anything. Then Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhav Goswami Maharaj said that yes, he is very brave and he is also very intelligent. He knows all the laws and logic. And if he can counter his logic, then he can counter. I cannot stop him because he is like my guru and he's senior god brother, like guru only. I cannot stop him. So you see that Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Swami Maharaj also used to say that this Ramakrishna mission has spoiled the entire India. Entire India is spoiled. Understand? So, as long as Mayavad will remain in this world, Mayavad, Advaitavad, Brahmavad, then Bhakti cannot prosper. Mayavadam Ashash Shastram Prachannam Bauddha Muchyate, Maiva Vihitam Devi Kalo Brahmana Murtiram. That Lord Shiva has told that I will go in Kali Yuga, I'll take birth in, say, Kerala, and I will preach this Mayavad from Kerala. And I will delude the people in the shape of a Brahman. So Param Gurudev wrote the biography of life history of Mayavad, Mayavad ki Jeevani. And in that he gave a very solid evidence how this Mayavad existed from time immemorial and it manifested in various forms. He told that this Mayavad is nothing but Bauddhavad, Vaidism. Mayavadam Asya Shastram Prachannam Bauddham Uchyate. Prachannam Bauddham Uchyate. This is nothing but Buddhism in different wrapper. Sarvam Khalidam Brahma. That is what Shankaracharya told. Everything is Brahma. But then they asked him, what is Brahma? Then Brahma is Shunya. Brahma is zero. Everything comes from zero. Everything goes into zero. So this is actually Buddhism. Means Mayavad philosophy is even more dangerous than Buddhism. Because Buddhists are openly rejecting the existence of God, openly rejecting the form of God. But Mayavadi is in hidden manner rejecting the existence of God. They are telling that God is nishaktik, has no potency, and God is actually without any attributes. God has no attributes. He is nirakar, nishaktik, niriha, like this. So Ravana was actually a Mayavadi. Ravana was Mayavadi. What Mayavadis think? God has no potency. So who's Sita? Sita, she is the potency of Ramchandra. Why should Ramchandra need any potency? Let me enjoy her potency. Let me enjoy his energy. That is the Ravan mentality. Ravan was very staunch Mayavadi. And the 10 heads which Ramchandra cut off actually were the 10 Buddhist principles. So he wrote that there are not just, as Prabhuji was reading, as Kishore Prabhu was reading, that there are not just one Buddha, there are two Buddhas. One Buddha, he appeared in 3500 years ago in Bihar. Kikateshu Bhavishyati. And Bhagavatam says that Vyasadeva is giving the prediction that Buddha avatar will appear in Kikata Desha. What is Kika? Anga, Vanga, Kalinga, and Magadha. These four countries, they are known as Kikata Desha. So Anga Desh. Remember in Mahabharata, Duryodhana had made Varuna the king of Anga Desh. Then Banga means Bengal. And Kalinga means Odisha. And Magadha means Bihar. So in Shastra it is told that if anyone will visit this Kikata Desha, if you are going for pilgrimage, no problem. You are going to some Tirtha Yatra, Jagannath Puri or Navadvip Dham Yatra, no problem. or you are going some holy place, no problem. But if you unnecessarily enter this Kikata Desha and return, then you will have to again undergo the sacred thread ceremony again. Such these are these countries, Kikata Desha. So this Kikata Desha, he appeared, Bodh Gaya, and he did austerities under that banyan tree. That was Vishnu Buddha. That Vishnu Buddha was not atheistic. He was not Nastic. Understand? And his name is given by Sri Jaydev Goswami Pad. Nindasi yagya vidher ahaha shruti jatam sadayarudhaya darshita pashubhatam keshavadrita buddha sharira jai jagadish hare jai jagadish hare jai jagadish hare. Lord came in the shape of Buddha and he told that don't follow Vedas. If any religion doesn't follow Vedas, then it is actually Gnostic philosophy. Understand? What is Gnostic? Those who don't accept the authority of the Vedas, they are called Gnostic. And those who accept the authority of the Vedas, they are called Astic. Understand? So, in India, there are some darshanas which are called Astic darshana, like Yoga darshan of Patanjali. It is an Astic darshan because it is based on Vedas. Also, Nyaya darshan and other philosophies are theistic philosophy. But there are also atheistic philosophy. What is this? This Buddha darshan is actually Gnostic darshan. So, but Vishnu Buddha, he did not preach atheism. He was preaching theism. But he said, don't follow Vedas, you follow me. But he was himself God. Because he didn't want people to kill animals. Understand? Why the Vedas, then the question comes in Hinduism, why that they tell that you kill animals? In Vedic literature also sometimes you see, oh, you can sacrifice one goat on this particular day, that particular day. This is explained that nivritti means renouncing these bad tendencies is the aim and object of the Vedas. But they give permission that intermittently you can engage in this activity, but not every day. So that your tendency is curtailed. But their aim and object is total renunciation and nivritti of these bad propensities. Example is given that there is a boy. That boy smokes cigarette every day. Every day it smokes one pack, 10 cigarettes every day. So teacher will tell him, my dear boy, henceforward, don't smoke every day. I allow you to smoke on Sunday. Then that student goes to all his classmates and says, Gurudev told that I should smoke, we can smoke on Sunday. That is not a generalized rule. This fellow is smoking every day, so he is told, okay, you smoke only on Sunday. So just to curtail his tendency. So like that the Vedas tell, don't eat meat at all. But if you cannot control on new moon day, you cut a goat and offer in sacrifice to Kali and then eat. Purpose is not that you should eat goat. You should altogether stop it. But to restrict the tendency, or it is told like that. Those who cannot control at all, at least they will wait till new moon day. Once in a month it will come. Then only eat only one goat. So at least they will not eat every day. So Param Gurudev told that this Buddha, Vishnu Buddha, was incarnation of Bhagavan. But 2500 years ago, Shakya Simha Buddha, in Shakya dynasty, one Buddha appeared. That Buddha was Gautam Buddha. And he was born in Lumbini in Nepal. And he was a thorough atheist. Understand? So there are two Buddhas. So very deep insights, Srila, in Mayavad Ki Jivani, I was reading that book Srila Param Gurudev has given. And then he explained that how Shankaracharya, he tricked the whole world. We should never disrespect Shankaracharya. Mahaprabhu called him Acharya. He preached bhakti. So Mahaprabhu used to respect him as Acharya. Actually, Lord Shiva, he didn't want to preach Mayavad philosophy, but Lord Krishna specially requested him that there are many persons who are practicing the bhakti, and then they can get some spiritual power by practicing bhakti, and then they are using that spiritual power to harass others. So delude such demonic persons so that they will not be able to exploit the bhakti for doing harm to others. Understand? You can do bhakti to benefit others, and you can do bhakti even to harm others. That is also possible. For example, there are mantras to kill someone. If you chant that mantra repeatedly, like in Bhagavatam, you will see that there is a mantra, like the Vena was doing so many atrocities. So Vena, King Vena, then the rishis kill him by simply chanting the Hum Bhat. This mantra killed him. The mantra can revive someone who's dead and also can kill someone who's doing nonsense. So basically, mantras can also be used to harm others. Understand? So people were using the mantras to harm others. So Lord Shiva was told by Lord Vishnu that please delude the people, demonic persons, so they'll not practice bhakti. So he preached. So Shankaracharya was born in Kerala. And then Param Gurudev writes in Mayavad Ki Jivani that how Shankaracharya in childhood took sannyas by deception. How he was born, Shankaracharya, his mother, she was widow, and she was his Shankaracharya's father had died, so she was living in a Shiva temple, and she surrendered everything to the priest of that Shiva temple, and from that Shiva temple priest, she conceived one baby. She became pregnant. Then, because she was widow and she became pregnant, she wanted to commit suicide. That time, Lord Shiva came in a dream and said that I am growing in your womb. Please don't kill yourself. So she didn't kill herself. She didn't commit suicide. Then her father came. The girl's father came and somehow the other saved her from suicide. So Shankaracharya was born. But Param Gurudev writes in Mayavad Ki Jivani that once Shankaracharya wanted to take sannyas, mother was not giving permission to take sannyas. So what Shankaracharya did, small boy, he created one crocodile by his illusion. And then that crocodile caught the foot of Shankaracharya. Then Shankaracharya didn't even try to rescue himself. His mother screamed at him, please shake your legs, somehow get out of the clutches of that crocodile. You are my only son, don't die, please do something. Then Shankaracharya remained completely quiet and he said, I will not make any attempt to rescue myself from this crocodile's clutches unless you give me permission for sannyas. Then she said, better you take sannyas rather than die. Let me see my son as a sannyasi rather than dead. So immediately he made that crocodile which he had created by his illusory potency to disappear. And then he said, I am going now, I am taking sannyas. Then his mother told that you are taking sannyas, but you are my only son. When I die, who will do my final rituals of funeral? Then he said, wherever I am, mother, I will come. And Shankaracharya indeed came. But Param Gurudev was telling that he took sannyas by deception. Understand? He took sannyas by deception. And he could not defeat even one single Vaishnava in his whole life. He also defeated Mandan Mishra. Mandan Mishra was actually was a Karmakandi, and he was a Brahman, and he went to debate. Shankaracharya went to debate with Mandan Mishra. So Mandan Mishra said, he told Mandan Mishra that someone should judge who has won the debate and who has lost the debate. Then Mandan Mishra said, my wife Saraswati is very educated. She will decide whether one who has won and who has lost in the debate. So debate began and Mandan Mishra was defeated by Shankaracharya. Saraswati was a very chaste wife. She told she could not tolerate that her husband was defeated by Shankaracharya. So she started asking question on behalf of the husband. She said, I can ask some question on my behalf of my husband. You please explain me the Kamakala, the art of conjugal love. Actually, a sannyasi, Param Gurudev writes in that book, a sannyasi and brahmachari, if he doesn't know anything about art of eroticism, then that is his great success in life. Sannyasi and brahmachari should be like a child. I should have no idea about the erotic life. But Shankaracharya, he thought that I will be defeated if I don't answer the questions about erotic life of Saraswati. So he went inside the body of a king who had died. And when the queens saw that their husband who was dead has come back to life, they were very happy. But they didn't know that actually Shankaracharya has done Parakaya Pravesham. Parakaya Pravesham means to enter into someone else's body and to relish what he is relishing. And in this way, he learned the art of eroticism from the chief queen of that king. And then again, he came back in the body of a sannyasi, and then he explained the art of eroticism to Saraswati and defeated Saraswati and Mandan Mishra like this. So this was actually very tricky thing which Shankaracharya did. Understand? No sannyasi should do like that. Understand? So Param Gurudev writes that how by trick, by hook or crook, Shankaracharya preached Mayavad all over the world. But then he explains very shocking truth about Shankaracharya, that how Shankaracharya perished. Then he writes in that book Mayavad Ki Jivni that Shankaracharya went to one Lama in Tibet. Tibet is the upper portion of India. Now it is separate country. Now it is part of China. So when he went to Tibet, in Tibet, he came across one Lama. One Lama, the Buddhist guru, he challenged Shankaracharya that please debate with me. Shankaracharya was also preaching Buddhism only in the name of Mayavad, and then that Buddhist was already preaching Buddhism. So both started debating, and that Lama was so expert in the logic and argument, he defeated Shankaracharya. And before they started debating, there was a condition that whoever will lose in the debate will have to jump in the boiling pot of oil, hot oil. That will he'll meet very very gory and very violent death like that. And Shankaracharya lost, and there was cauldron of hot oil and cooking oil, and that he had to jump, and that is where his samadhi is there. So in this way, Shankaracharya was finished. But actually, so all these details, the entire life history of Mayavad, but Shankaracharya was not the first Acharya of Mayavad. This Mayavad also was prevalent in this world with Ravana, Hiranyakashipu. They all were Mayavadis, actually. The big demons were Mayavadis. See, generally speaking, we think of, fighting with the muscles, wrestling, or fighting with a club, sword, and now nuclear weapons. That fighting is important. No, previously that was not the main way of fighting. The first battle is always ideological battle. Understand? Ideological battle, if it is inconclusive, then the battle with then the grappling with the muscles begins. Understand? Means when Bhima and Jarasandha, they fought, first there was a debate. Jarasandha said he rejected the existence of the supremacy of Krishna, and Bhima tried to establish the supremacy of Krishna. Bhima defeated Jarasandha in the logical argument. Then Jarasandha said, okay, you defeated me in the logical argument, but I don't want to surrender to you, so now let the battle of muscles begin. Then there was a tussle of muscles, and then there was Bhima again emerged victorious. Understand? So, that's why the Mayavad has spread in so many forms. And this Mayavad, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, he uprooted that by writing this book, Mayavad Ki Jivni. Understand? So Srila Gurudev published that. I read that book. And then Param Gurudev writes that how in Karnataka, the greatest refutation of Mayavad came from Shriman Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya wrote Mayavad Shata Dushani, 100 defects in the Mayavad philosophy. Later on, Madhvacharya's grand disciple, means Madhvacharya disciple, Sri Jayatirtha, he wrote Nyaya Sudha. And again he defeated Mayavad by logic and argument. Again Vyasatirtha, Prahlad Maharaj incarnated as Vyasatirtha, and Vyasatirtha defeated Mayavad. So, very beautiful description is given. That time there was a staunch Mayavadi called Vidyaranya. And this Vidyaranya, Aranya means forest, and Vidya means knowledge. But actually his knowledge was actually Mayavadic knowledge, ignorance. So that forest of ignorance was burnt to ashes by the strong arguments, thunderbolt-like arguments of Sri Vyasatirtha. Understand? So Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, as we see that he appeared in the... How much more time is there, or are we running out of time? I hope you are not...
You can go on. No, you can go on, Maharaj.
because if you're getting bored, then Hare Krishna. So he appeared in Vanaripada, and he was actually, when he was born, his bodily complexion was like golden. So in Sanskrit, the word golden or effulgent is called Jyotsna, effulgent. So that's why the correct form of the word Jyotsna is Jonah. So he was called Jonah in childhood. And he was born as a child. His mother had kept him after giving him oil massage and bath. She had kept him in the courtyard, and one big bird came and in talons took the baby in the sky. Everyone was shocked. They were shouting, "Oh, baby has been taken, baby has been taken." And then he was dropped in the one boat in the lake, and then he was rescued. So these things happens only in the lives of great personalities. Other incidents, maybe already someone may have spoken about it, but once he came very late in the evening, and mother chastised him for coming late. But his friends explained that he had collected some funds for the treatment of a cholera-stricken old lady, and by he crowdfunded, collected from people the funds for the medical treatment of that woman. Then his mother took a vow that she will never ever chastise Vinod. Vinod is such an honest boy. But also, Bihari Brahmachari became very angry that, oh, the British people, they are ruling the country and they are torturing the poor souls of India. So he wanted to destroy the British government, and he was joining some organizations which were fighting guerrilla warfare, underground warfare. So he was related to such organizations. But when he heard the philosophy of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he was so impressed that he gave up all his guerrilla warfare tactics, and he stopped working for the freedom of India, and he started working for the freedom of the living entities from the clutches of Maya. Still, the British government was not convinced, and they came to Prabhupada and they told that Vinod Bihari Brahmachari, who was living in your ashram, he had some revolutionary bent of mind. So we don't trust him. We want to arrest him. Then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said, "Don't worry about him. He is now under my guidance, and he will not do anything to harm your Queen's Empire, the British Empire. So don't worry, he will not do anything now against the Queen." So, on the assurance of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, the British government didn't arrest him. But still they were not convinced. They sent one spy. They sent one devotee spy. Means they disguised one young boy as a devotee, and they used to send in the evening time to attend the classes of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. So then he used to attend the classes of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, and even Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada used to speak the profound philosophy. The spy of the British government was so impressed by the philosophy he heard, he said, "I want to join the mutt." He gave up working for the British government and he became brahmachari. Later on, he took sannyas also. So in this way, some benefit came. So Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, he came with his paternal aunt to Mayapur to attend Navati Parikrama. And he was so impressed by the personality of Prabhupada, he decided to join the Gaudiya Math. So very young age, he joined the Gaudiya Math. He was senior even to Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. He was a very senior Vaishnava. Although he took sannyas from Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, but he had joined before Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj. Once Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj came to the mutt for the first time, and he saw one brahmachari in white cloth sitting underneath a jackfruit tree, and his feet extended on the table, and he was eyes half closed, half open, as if he is in contemplation of some deep spiritual topic. And even big sannyasis were offering their pranams with their dandas to this young brahmachari. Ramananda Prabhu, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj was stunned. What is this? This Vinod Bihari is such a great person. Who is he? Why everyone is bowing down to him? Then someone told that he is actually the manager of the matha. He is the mother of the matha. He runs the whole thing under the guidance of Prabhupada. He is the right-hand personality of Prabhupada. So, Sri Ramananda Prabhu, Sri Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj developed some great respect for our Vinod Bihari Brahmachari. So one time the mother of Sri Vinod Bihari Brahmachari became very sick. Prabhupada told him, my dear Vinod, you go and see your mother because mother has sent a message that she wants to see you at the time of death. Then Vinod hid himself in a room and then he didn't emerge from the room for some days. Prabhupada asked, has Vinod gone to see his mother? Then they said, no, he's hiding in the room. Prabhupada called him, why you are disobeying my order? Why you are not going to see your mother? Said, Prabhupada, after millions and millions of lives, uh, spending so many species, I have received billions and billions of mothers and fathers in every species. But after great good fortune, a living entity has received the shelter of spiritual master. If I go back to my mother and she tells me on deathbed with the final breath, my final order is to you that you should get married and you should run this entire empire and this all properties all yours, you have to maintain it. This will give me satisfaction. I will have to promise that on the deathbed. I cannot reject mother's last wish. And then again I would have lost one more human birth. And then again next human birth, when it will come, it may come after trillions and trillions of years, billions of lifetimes. I don't know. So I don't want to go. I want to stay at your lotus feet. Prabhupada was so impressed. Tears began to flow from his eyes. He said, you are a true disciple. Everyone was called as Apni. Prabhupada used to call everyone respectfully Apni. Means thou with great respect. You with great respect. But he used to call Vinod Bihari Prabhu Tui. Tui means you in singular manner. In India, when you say Aap means plural. Bhavan. But plural. But when you are talking to a child or someone who is very close to you, then you speak in singular. So he used to speak in singular case with him, Tui. And also Vinod Bihari never used to offer obeisances to Prabhupada from front. He used to also always offer his to obeisances to Prabhupada from a corner, from behind a door or behind a wall or little away where Prabhupada will not see him offering obeisances. Because Prabhupada was such a humble personality. He used to say that I have not created even a single disciple. I have not initiated even a single disciple in my life. I only initiated gurus. All of my disciples are my spiritual masters. He used to say. Why? Prabhupada had that humility. He said that only because I have these young boys and girls, I have ability to speak Harikatha. They remind me of Krishna. If they were not there, I would not be speaking Harikatha. I would not be reminded of Sri Krishna. Because of the disciples, I have to speak Harikatha. So they are my gurus. They are not my disciples. So whenever any disciple would offer pranam to Prabhupada, Prabhupada would fold hand, bow down and say, Dasusmi. Or he would say, Krishna Matirastu. May your intelligence be attached to Krishna and I am your servant. So Vinod Bihari Brahmachari couldn't tolerate. Oh, Prabhupada is saying, Dasusmi, I am your servant. And also doing pranam. So he used to always offer obeisances hidingly. So Vinod Bihari Brahmachari, he was made in charge of all the property of Sri Akar Matha Chaitanya Math. Because the Math had huge property and there were many tenants. Their land was given to them on lease and also some place to stay. But they were not paying the rent of that land, the lease amount, they were not turning in on time. As a result, the Math was experiencing great financial scarcity and distress. So Vinod Bihari Brahmachari straightened that out. Somehow by hook or crook, he made sure that all the tenants were paying the rent on time. He used to ride on a horse. He used to ride on a horse and used to wear very opulent clothes. So many times, many devotees used to criticize him. Oh, he doesn't know renunciation. He he lives like a jamindar. Then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said that you cannot understand Vinod Bihari Prabhu. He is such a great renounced person. One time I was sitting underneath a jackfruit tree and he was reading the book Tattva Sandarbha, the great encyclopedia of all the spiritual truths by Jiva Goswami Pad. And Ananda Vasudeva Prabhu, who was considered a great scholar in Gaudiya Matha, he came and he said to Vinod Bihari Prabhu, Vinod Bihari Prabhu, are you pretending to read Tattva Sandarbha and Shat Sandarbha or are you really understanding something? or just to impress others, you are sitting and reading this book? Or are you understanding also something? Then Vinod Bihari didn't speak a word. He closed his eyes and handed over the book to Ananta Vasudev Prabhu behind. Take this book. And he took the book in the hand. He said, ask any question from any page of Tattva Sandarbha. And then he asked so many questions, and every question was properly answered by Shri Vinod Bihari Brahmachari. Then Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu realized that he is not only just an administrator, he knows also all the Tattva Siddhanta. You can see the Gurudev gives an example of the Radha Vinod Bihari Tattvashtakam, the great poetry written by Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. राधा चिंता निवेशेण यस्य कान्तिर्विलोपिता श्री कृष्ण चरणं वन्दे राधा लिंगित विग्रहम्. राधा चिंता निवेशेण यस्य कान्तिर्विलोपिता श्री कृष्ण चरणं वन्दे राधा लिंगित विग्रहम्. One time Krishna was dancing in Ras Leela with gopis, and Radharani, she developed man. So when Radharani developed man, Krishna took Radharani with him and disappeared from Raslila. Then he decorated Radharani as Shungarvat, her hair braid. And then all the gopis were coming, and Krishna thought, oh, if Radharani, if the gopis will see me with Radharani, then they will become all, they will do man. They'll all become sulky. Hey, you are loving only this particular gopi, you are not loving us, then my whole night, entire night of Brahma will be spent only pacifying each and every gopi. Let me run from here. So therefore he vanished from there and he came underneath a tamarind tree in Imlitala. And Radharani also with the Sakhis, she was searching for Krishna. So that time, Krishna, he could not tolerate the separation of Radharani even for a moment. He closed his eyes and chanted Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. Remembering Radha Mantri was chanting and remembering Radharani, and his complexion turned golden. And that is where, that is when the first form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was manifest under that Imlitala tree. Means Krishna gave an indication that in Kali Yuga, I will come in this very form where I will accept the mood and complexion of Radharani. This is called Tanmaita. This is called Tadatmya. Krishna became Tadatmya with Radharani. What is Tadatmya? You take iron, piece of iron, and you put it in the fire, and you hit up that iron with fire, and then after some time it will become red hot or white hot. Now once it has become red hot or white hot, it is no more iron, it has become fire. So like that, Krishna became Tadatmya, qualitative oneness with Radharani, and became golden complexion Gaura. Then in that one he writes, Radha Chinta Niveshena Yasya Kantir Vilopita. Vilopita means Krishna's complexion disappeared. Shri Krishna Charanam Vande Radha Lingita Vigraham. Here, the Sandhi Viched or the two joint words can be broken like Radha Lingita Vigraham or Radha Alingita Vigraham. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is what? Is Krishna who has tightly embraced Radharani, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Alingita means embraced. And Radha Lingita, understand, Radha Lingita Vigraham means he is also marked with the complexion of Radharani. Such a great poetry. Then, one time one pastor, Christian preacher, he asked Param Gurudev, oh Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, you worship Krishna who is black in color. Why do you worship Krishna who is black in color? Then Param Gurudev told that actually black means actually no color. When all the colors you take out, only black remains. Means one who is devoid of all the mundane material qualities, then that is black. That's why Krishna is black. Then that pastor was also very intelligent. The Christian preacher said, but you also worship Gaurachandra who is golden in complexion, white in complexion. Why is that? And he said that when you mix all the colors, violet, indigo, green, blue, so red, so like that, all these colors, 7 colors you mix, then white colors manifest. Means one who is the emporium or the collection of all the good transcendental qualities, that is Gaura. So he wrote in that verse सर्वे वर्णा यत्राविष्टा गौरकान्तिर्विकाशते सर्ववर्णेन हीनस्तु कृष्णावर्णा प्रकाशते सगुणं निर्गुणं तत्त्वम् एकमेवाद्वितीयकम् शक्ति मतोरैक्यम युगपद वर्तते सदा. He told that Krishna is Nirgun and Sagun. Nirgun means, Guna means material mundane qualities. He has no mundane material qualities, so he is Nirgun. But also, Krishna is Sagun because he has all the transcendental qualities. He is the reservoir of all the transcendental qualities. So in this way, he is both Sagun and he is Nirgun. So, he is telling that Radha Chinta Niveshena Yasya Kantir Vilokita. Means we don't want to see Radharani crying in separation of Krishna. We want that Krishna meditating on Radharani, Krishna crying in separation of Radharani. That is the desire of the Manjaris. So how high sentiment is there? Understand? Like Bilamangal Thakur is writing. Chinta Manir Jayati Soma Girir Guru Me Shiksha Guruisha Bhagavan Shikipincha Moni Yat Padakalpatru Pallavashya Hareshu Leela Swayam Rasam Lavate Jai Shri. Oh, Bilamangal Thakur being Krishna Paksha Gopi wants to see Radharani rendering service to the lotus feet of Krishna, Radharani massaging the feet of Krishna, surrendering at the feet of Krishna. But we don't want to see that form of Radharani serving Krishna. We want to see Krishna meditating on Radharani, Krishna serving Radharani in Seva Kunj. Understand? Because we are Radha Paksha Gopi. So that's why Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj was a very great scholar. He was a great philosopher. He was a great author. He was a great manager. And his poetry, you can see, in the morning we first sing Mangala Shri Guru Gaura Mangala Murati. First, Mangalarti, he is praying to Gurudev. If we don't pray to Gurudev, Krishna will not accept our worship. We must pray to Gurudev first. So first, Prathamam to Guru Pujyam. First, you must worship Guru, then Krishna. That's why first Mangala Shri Guru Gaura Mangala Murati. Then to Gauranga Mahaprabhu and then Radha Krishna. So this Mangalarti has explained the essence of Krishna Bhavanamrut Mahakavya, Govinda Lilamrut, on high class books of the Goswamis, the essence of their Nishanta Lila he has given in this Arti. When Gurudev heard this Arti for the first time, oh, he was stunned. But Param Gurudev asked him, how do you like this Arti? He said, very nice Arti, but it is way too long. When Gurudev later said, no, I should not have said like that. Because it is full of nectar. And previously, you see, he wrote Tulsi Arti also for the benefit of jivas like us. That is his compassion. Previously in Gaudiya Math, they sing Arti of Chandrasekhar Kavi. Namori Namori Maya Namo Maharani Tulsi Maharani Tulsi Maya Ganga Maya Yamuna Maya Govardhan Baba. What is this? This is not Sambandha Gyan. Understand? Tulsi is not Maya. If she is Vrinda Gopi, she is the Sakhi of Radharani. She is a Devi, Vrinda Devi. She is our Swamini. Understand? So we should not call Tulsi Maya. Okay, that Arati is perfectly fine for those who are worshipping Narayan, Shaligram Shila, and those who regard Tulsi as mother. For those who are in the Vaishwarya Rasa, those who are in the mood of awe and reverence, this Arati is fine. But we are in Madhura Ras. We want to serve Radha Krishna as a Palyadasi mood. Then Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, ISKCON, what Arati they sing, very wonderful Arati by Krishnadas Prabhu. Like in the morning time we sing, right? Jai Radhe Jai Krishna Jai Vrindavan Dina Krishna Dasa Kahe Nama Sankirtan. So Dina Krishna Das Prabhu has written that morning parikrama, Brajamandal Dham glorification. We sing in the morning while doing parikrama of Tulsi. So same Dina Krishna Das has written another Arati of Tulsi. Tulasi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namo. No problem. Krishna's Preyasi, she is Preyasi of Krishna, absolutely no problem. Radha Krishna Seva Pavo Abhilashi. But Mora Abhilash Vilas Kunje Diovas. Nayane Herivo Sada Jugal Jugruparashi. Please give me residence as a Palyadasi or Manjari in the Vilas Kunja of Radha Krishna. and so that I can see their sweet, confidential, amorous pastimes in Nibrud Nikunja. Now, this type of sentiment, which is explained by Dina Krishna Das in that Arti, which is sung in ISKCON, is extremely lofty, very high. Common people cannot understand. Understand? It is way beyond their understanding. So, what Param Gurudev, being very kind to the new devotees, he wrote an Arti which is actually very glorious. Namo Namo Tulsi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namo Radha Krishna Nitya Seva Eira Vilash. I want eternal service of Radha Krishna. Both Artis are same. Krishna's Prabhu's Arti and Param Gurudev Arti same up to this level. But then he saying Morai Abhilash, Mayapure Diovas, Morai Abhilash, Navadvipe Diovas, Morai Abhilash, Vrindavane Diovas. 3 times. Means my desire I should get residence in Mayapur, Navadvip and Vrindavan. Understand? Because Mayapur is Abhinna Vrindavan, is Abhinna Gokul. So those who are residing in Mayapur, they are already residing in Gokul and Vrindavan. So in this way, the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu they will get, the conditioned jivas. Because for liberated persons, Vrindavan is very glorious. Many people say, I am going, Prabhu, I am going to Vrindavan, I am going to Radhakund, I am going to Govardhan. I will do bhajan there. I will not hear Harikatha from any Vaishnava. I will not associate with any Vaishnava. Every day I will chant 2 lakh, 3 lakh and I will do bhajan there. But not possible. Why not possible? With all the anarthas in the heart, the anarthas will not let that person do bhajan. Vrindavan is very great, the topmost place in the world. Radhakund, Chamkund and Govardhan, topmost place. But for who? One who is free from anarthas, liberated person. But for a conditioned jiva, better to stay at the lotus feet of Gurudev, do some seva to Gurudev and hear his Harikatha, be under the guidance. Understand? Otherwise, he will cause his own ruination. Understand? So therefore, he is in his Arti, if Tulsi is telling, Jagatera Jata Fula Kabu Nahe Samatula Sarvatyaji Krishna Topatra Manjari Vilasi Tulsi Krishna Preyasi Namo Namo. Means all the flowers in the world, all the golden ornaments in the world, they are not equal to even one leaf of Tulsi. Then a story is told that Radharani went to Kurukshetra, Narad Muni came to Kurukshetra, Narad Muni told, oh, I want something in charity from Satyabhama. Satyabhama said, whatever you want, I will give. Finally, Narad Muni said, I want Krishna. He was taking away Krishna. Then Satyabhama said, I will give you gold equivalent weight of Krishna. Gold equivalent to the weight of Sri Krishna. But they put Krishna in one side of the balance and the gold in the other side of the balance. Krishna was still heavy. Then Radharani came and one tulsi leaf she dipped in the tears of her eyes and wrote Krishna Nam on that. And immediately Krishna was in the sky and that the side of the balance where tulsi leaf was there was heavier. It was lowered. Why? Tulsi is heavier than Krishna. She is Krishna Bhakta. One tulsi leaf is heavier than Krishna. And Krishna Nam is also non-different from Krishna. So Krishna Nam and Krishna are equal in weight. But Tulsi is heavier. So because of Tulsi, the Tulsi leaf which Radharani had written the name of Krishna, then Krishna was measured. So you can see the glory of Tulsi. Tulsi is so glorious. Even any person will worship Tulsi. So that's why Param Gurudev, the Arti he has written. He is amazing Arti actually. O Govrinde Maharani Krishna Bhakti Pradayini Tomara Pada Patale Deva Rushi Kutuhale Sarva Tirtha Laye Tandrahana Divasi. Beautiful poetry. Pada means feet. Pa means drink. The trees drink water by their feet, so they are called Padapa. So Tulsi is called Padapa. Tomara Padapa Tale Deva Rishi Kutuhale. Even the great sages and all the demigods reside at the root of Tulsi Devi. Means where Tulsi is present, all the sages, all the demigods, entire spiritual world and Golok Vrindavan is present at the lotus feet of Tulsi. So she is the bestower of Krishna Bhakti. Such beautiful Arti he wrote. So in this way, later on one Gaudiya Math took that Arti and they changed the last line where Param Gurudev's name was mentioned and they read their own name and then they published it. Then Param Gurudev said that imitation is the best type of this thing, glorification. So no problem. He didn't say, at least they are using my Arti. Although they had thrown out my name and they put their own name. Mangal Arti also like that. So His arti is amazing. He was a transcendental poet and he was fearless speaker. Once he went to Assam, and in Assam they accept one incarnation of God called Hankar Dev, Shankar Dev or Hankar Dev. They say that he is the incarnation of Bhagwan, and they say that Bhagavatam has not 12 cantos, there is 13 cantos in Bhagavatam. They have written one more canto of Bhagavatam. So then Param Gurudev there started speaking Harikatha. In the Harikatha he mentioned, hey, listen, those who eat meat, fish, eggs, and those who drink liquor, their mouths are not mouths, they are gutters and sewage holes. So hearing that, people began to pelt stones, tomatoes, and everything. There was a pandemonium everywhere. They were so angry. Why are you speaking like this? That our mouths are like gutters. We eat meat. So then Param Gurudev never was afraid. The next day, they all came to argue with him. So you tell that Shankar Dev is not Bhagwan, but you tell that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Bhagwan. What proof you have that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Bhagwan? Then he told Sajjan Sevak Brahmachari, means Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj, get up, Sajjan Sevak, get up. So, used to call him Santosh actually. Santosh, get up. And then he got up and he rattled off. He spoke like 150 verses in tandem, explaining the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from the scriptures. From Vishnu Sahasranam, from Vayu Puran, from Bhagavad, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, from Bhaktamal, from Mirabai's Bhajan, and from Adi Puran, Garud Puran. So many evidences he gave. Any incarnation is coming, then that incarnation must be substantiated by all the scriptural evidence. Generally, you don't accept just like that anyone has incarnation of God. So in this way, then Gurudev took those proofs quoted by Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj and wrote one book, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ke Bhagavatta Pratipadak Katipe Praman. Some important evidences from the scriptures which substantiate the theory that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is incarnation of Bhagavan. Not incarnation, he is actually avatar, he is source of all incarnations. So he was such a fearless speaker. He was so expert in law also. But one time in Devananda Gaudiya Math, two brahmacharis were quarreling. They were quarreling bitterly. Parikrama was going on, Navadita Parikrama. Hundreds of pilgrims had come. And right before the eyes of the pilgrims, two brahmacharis took the burning sticks from the wooden stove and they were about to beat each other. Then the news came to Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Said, your two brahmachari disciples are fighting with burning charcoal. Please stop them. Go and intervene and try to make peace between them. Then Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj said, hey, I have not invited them to the mutt to fight with each other and to litigate against each other. If they have any issue, they have quarrel, they can settle it in any of the criminal or civil courts in Bengal. Government has not less than 5,000 courts in entire Bengal. They can file a lawsuit in any of the civil court and fight it off with the lawyers. I am not here, I have not called them here to fight with each other, but rather I have called them to do some bhakti, be humble than blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. If they want to learn that, they should learn from me. Otherwise, they should fight it off in the court. Understand? So, he was so much strict. He didn't want to intervene in them. So, we should not try to fight. For small things, we get agitated. Understand? Many times, Param Gurudev used to say that what is that people are doing? Gurudev also used to say, what are they doing? They are simply using rockets. For example, a mosquito will sit on your hand. Will you use AK-47 or some machine gun just to shoot the mosquito? No. Small things, very, very small things, try to tolerate it. Forgive and forget others. If you don't forgive others, how will Bhagwan forgive you? So, Param Gurudev, one time also, Srila Bhakti Shrirup Siddhanti Goswami Maharaj. He was a very bosom friend of Param Gurudev. Both were god brothers. And it was Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj only brought him from the village. And he joined the mutt. So Bhakti Vivek Bharati Maharaj had gone to the village of Shiv Shankar Prabhu, means Bhakti Shrup Siddhanti Maharaj, Swarup Siddha Brahmachari. And then he joined the mutt. But when he saw, when Sarupsiddha Brahmachari came to the mutt, oh, all brahmacharis were so scholars, so learned. Someone is engineer, someone is doctor, someone is accountant, someone is this, someone is that. Then they said, what to do, what to do. He said, I am not qualified, let me go and finish my law education. So he went back home and he began to study law again. Param Gurudev again went to the East Bengal, brought Siddhaswara Brahmachari back to the mutt again. Then he never left. And he always stayed under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada. He took initiation from Prabhupada, and later on he stayed in the guidance of Srila Bhakti Vivek Bharti Goswami Maharaj. So one time they were bringing some vegetables from the Sihalta station to the mutt, Bagh Bazaar mutt they had. And there were two bags. They had done some bhiksha. And one bag was very heavy, other one was little light. So there was a quarrel between them. Siddhaswara Brahmachari said that because I am younger than you, I must take the load of bigger bag. The Param Gurudev said, because I am older to you, I must take the bigger bag. And they were quarreling. Generally speaking, we are quarreling with our God brothers and God sisters who will take the bigger chunk of seva. We will want to take less seva and give more seva to God brother and God sister. But here the example of God brothers who want to take bigger seva and give lighter seva to the younger God brother. So they were fighting for that. So in this way, I offer my millions of obeisances to lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Pragya and Keshav Goswami Maharaj. I really apologize because I fell asleep. But I think time getting late now. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhyo paritanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo.
Vaishnavaya Namaha.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Dandavad, Hare Krishna. All right.
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Saram Maharaj. Thank you so
Dandavad.
much for the beautiful class.
Dandavad. Hare
Thank you, Maharaj.
Dandavad. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for that. So now we'll move on to Narasimha Dev's duty, and can I please have Jugala Kishori Dasi Mataji to sing Narasimha Dev's duty. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vishakatiri. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Palada Daine. Palada Daine. Hiranyakashipu Vakshaha. Hiranyakashipu Vakshaha. Shilatankana Kalae Idonam Singha Paladonam Singha Idonam Singha Paladonam Singha Yado Yamitadonam Singha Yado Yamitadonam Singha Vahenam Singha Hirayanam Singha Vahenam Singha Hirayanam Singha Nasinhamadam Sharam Prapadam Nasinhamadam Sharam Prapadam Tamakala Kamalavale Kam Abura Shinga Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubingam Keshavadvita Nali Rupam Jagadishale 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 Kamakala Kamalavale Kam Abura Shinga Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubingam Keshavadvita Nali Rupam Jagadishale Jaya Jagadish Hare, Jaya Jagadish Hare, Jaya Nasing Hare, Jaya Nasing Hare, Jaya Nasing Hare, Jaya Nasing Hare, Jaya Palamara, Jaya Palamara, Jaya Palamara, Jaya Palamara, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Gopunande Hamilipo. Translation. Offer my obeisances to Lord Nrsimha, who gives joy to Pala Maharaj, and whose nails are like chisels on a stone like chest of Demon Hiranyakashipu. Lord Nrsimha is here and also there. Wherever I go, Lord Nrsimha is there. He is within the heart and is outside as well. I surrender to Lord Nrsimha, the origin of all things and the supreme refuge. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hare, who have assumed the form of half man, half lion, all glories to you. Just as one can easily cross the wasp between one's fingernails, so in the same way, the body of the wasp-like demon Hiranyakashipu has been ripped apart by the wonderful pointed nails on the beautiful lotus hands. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Jugala Mataji, for that. Did the other